you had just started Clay Story, and soon after that, you were featured in Vogue. That must have brought you a lot of attention. And so, how did you actually continue to grow from mid 2019?
So 2019 again, once I had now my full focus was on pottery, I decided that I also need to, apart from growing my social media presence, I also need to grow my offline presence. So I started doing these markets where it's like an exhibition and some 10, 20 brands present their work and it's you sell it. So I did my first market in July in Delhi. Then we also have an annual Potters market every year in Delhi and in a couple of other states as well. So I participated in that and I did one in Bhopal as well. So I did 3 markets in 2019 and that also gave me a lot of offline clientele and increased my following and people placed orders through those markets as well. Another reason for doing a market was also because I felt that something like ceramic needs to be felt and touched and seen before buying it. And I think nothing can replace that tactile feeling of a product. It really helped me because a lot of my bigger orders, like dinner sets and bigger sets, came through those markets at that point. Online orders were usually smaller ones, or people who are into food styling and photography would place an order for their props. It was mostly like that till that point. Yeah. 2019 was also the first time when I had time during Diwali, so I could tap into the festive market. So I made these candle gift boxes. And initially, I thought I'll just make like 20 boxes and that's it. And I put them up on a pre-order basis, and I ended up getting thrice the amount more than thrice the amount I'd initially planned.
Wow.
So I did.
That's your own gift for Diwali then.
Yeah. So basically, I just learned how this pre-order works, and I just tried and tested a couple of things to see what works and what doesn't. So I did like a small candle gift box thing for Diwali, and then I repeated it in Christmas because a lot of people were asking for it. But yeah, so 2019 I would say was a lot of trial for me. If offline markets work for me or not, pre-order works for me or not. So I just tried everything I could think of. Then again, 2020 in the beginning, I did, I think, one market before the lockdown. And so I had some orders from that also. And then, of course, March is when the lockdown happened. For 2 months, almost everything was shut. I wasn't firing also because, cylinders, and I just didn't want people to get cylinders, people to come over. So 2 months much work didn't happen. But May and in June, when the lockdown started opening, suddenly I put it out saying that, I'm open for orders now. And suddenly there was a surge of orders, which is pretty unexpected. And it was a lot of smaller orders, but a lot of them. So I think and there was a lot of backlog from the last 2 months of the lockdown as well. So July is when I realized I need to rethink my entire sales structure and model. So I shut my orders and I said that, I'm going to just make a batch of things which I know sell well and I'm going to put them up as a shop update. And the only things I'll make on order will be like dinner sets because there are usually larger sets and I don't have that much stock at any point. So that is something that I will make on orders, and it also gives me and the client the flexibility to be able to customize a little bit in terms of the products that they want and the sizes they want. So then I made like a little newsletter thing, and I had a mailing list, and I emailed it to them saying that, orders are stopped, dinner sets can be made on order. And then suddenly there was so much interest in those dinner sets. And I think one of the reasons was also because I did like a shoot where I laid a table setting and I put all of the products together. And suddenly people could imagine how it would look in their houses. Right. And suddenly there was a surge and so many people wanted dinner sets. And this is the first time bigger orders started coming to me online as well.
Okay. What I notice is that somehow you know exactly how to tap into what interests the market, So first you stay online with social media, and then you need to expand by going offline to bring in a new type of customer. And then after doing fairs and offline, you're also figuring out how to do like direct mailing to bring in little more attention. And then so suddenly the larger orders are now coming from online also.
Yeah.
Where did you pick up on tapping into the market in the right way? Did you have any friends helping you, or was it that your time at Ferrolinkers that helped you,
Uh, so
or was it just something that came naturally to you?
So it was a lot of experimenting on my part because I just feel like if I'm doing something, I have nothing to lose. I can just try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at the
Right.
same time, I did consciously make an effort on my social media. So I would go and see a lot of other pages who are doing maybe similar work, or other designers, or even like stylists, just see how they interact with their audience, how they work, how they promote themselves without actually sounding too salesy. Because
Yeah.
you don't, like, if you go and read my captions as well, there's none of my captions will have a DM for price, or
Right.
DM to order. I never write all of that, but it's
Yeah.
always about storytelling. So I'll give you a small example.
Sure.
For example, if you look at Coke, they're not saying that we are selling carbonated water, right? They
Yeah.
sell the whole idea of having a meal with your friends and enjoying that drink together. So they're selling happiness, something like that is their tagline. So
Yeah.
similarly, I realized that I don't have to sell pottery. I have to sell meal times. I have to sell a family sitting together, enjoying their meal on a dinner table, talking, discussing their day,
Yeah.
debating on topics. And that's what we used to do a lot. So every Saturday, we used to go to our grandparents' house who in Delhi, and
Yeah.
all my cousins and relatives would be there, and we would just spend hours sitting on the dinner table. So that was the whole idea. And food and ceramics go hand in hand. And they say food brings together, right? People together. Ceramic brings that food together. So that's how I started developing and thinking on who my target audience is, and what are they looking for, and what
Yeah.
should be my narrative as a seller, without saying that I make plates and please buy my plates. So
Yeah.
that's how I started thinking. But I did observe a lot of other artists, and I saw how they're working. And that's how the newsletter idea also came, because I saw a lot of these international artists always spoke about their newsletter and how you should sign up to get like exclusive updates. So in terms of marketing, I realized that social media can become big. So I started following accounts who worked in similar fields that I did, and also
Yeah.
other people also. Just started observing what they're doing. That's how I also realized that email marketing is a thing, and people actually collect email IDs, and that's where they convert their followers into their collectors. I started
Yeah.
following a lot of international artists and just trying and understanding how they're engaging their audience. So there was a lot of trial and error, and one thing was that I just always wanted to be just authentic, and I was always very very apprehensive talking to the camera, and but that's something that I try to do a little bit now with social media.
Yeah.
uh, and I was very clear that I never wanted to be too salesy. I didn't want to push my products. I didn't want to say this is available and DM me and all of that. But it just happened in the narrative that I was building through my page.
Yeah.
So, and so far it has worked.